So I think it was yesterday that the vice president arrived in New York for UNGA 80, the UN General Assembly meeting 80. And all over the internet, there's been this massive backlash concerning the spectacle, that occurred in New York upon the vice president's arrival. So apparently, a number of high-ranking personalities, led by the governor of Kaduna State, Ubasani, and with a couple of ministers, the Minister of Trade, a couple of ministers, and including Mrs. Abike Dabiri, the MDC of NIDCOM. They are gone ahead as a sort of advanced party and um, all for the purpose of welcoming the vice president to Ongaiti, and there's been massive backlash on the level of profligacy and waste demonstrated by that action, by that, by the entire event. That again calls to question the problem with leadership in Nigeria. How disconnected the political class is from the Nigerian people. How much they preach to the people to cut their coats, tighten their belts, to try and weather the economic challenges, to try and, bear. And all of this will soon pass away. The country is, going through a tough time, a rough patch, economic reforms, but we can assure you after this time, there will be a lot at the end of the tunnel. Things will get better. The people should sacrifice for the country and all that. Meanwhile, those who have the primary duty of sacrificing for the country live in opulence and in sheer waste. The question is, all of what transpired in New York, the whole idea of people traveling all the way down to the US, leaving their duty post, even a governor leaving his duty post in Nigeria to travel down to New York, even ministers going ahead. The question is, how does that add to Nigeria? How does that change Nigeria's fortune? With what Nigeria is going through at the moment, is Nigeria the kind of country that should afford such a waste of public or a misuse of public funds? With what Nigeria is going through today, who ought to cut public spending only to focus on essentials that would benefit the people? I ask the question, if Nigeria were to be a company, a big corporation, and the deputy MD was to be traveling to a foreign land, will a manager, will the head of a division in the company leave a duty post? Now I'm saying, if Nigeria were to be a company, a corporation, will the manager, head of a division, gather a number of members of staff and travel all the way down, on the bill of the company, simply to go and welcome the deputy MD in that foreign land? Will a company ever do that? Will a corporation ever think in that manner? Why? Because such a cooperation is thinking progress. Is thinking progress. Is thinking progress. And this is the problem. In other climes, why they don't find such things happen is because progress is the focus, not person, not personal interest. But the reverse is the case in Nigeria. And I think the Nigerian people ought to keep calling out these kinds of behavior. Some people may say, well, it won't change anything, they will still do what they want to do, but the least that can be done is to call out such behavior. I mean, it is so shameful that you would find even someone like the MDC of NIDCOM, who had faced so much backlash in the country, have the effrontery even to even be a part of all of that charade. But again, it speaks to, the reality in Nigeria, where those who are in power are totally disconnected from the reality the people are going through. So what if all of what was spent on that trip was simply channeled to healthcare in the country? Wouldn't that go far in doing something? Yeah. So let's take it that all of that, what was spent on that trip, on that charade, was, was simply, put towards primary education in the country to build more schools. Wouldn't that educate a few more Nigerians? But rather, you had to squander all of that on an hunger that would end, on the UN General Assembly that would end in a couple of days' time, and leaders will go back to their country. Most of the leaders that you see attending the ongoing UN General Assembly, they are leaders who back home in their country are making giant strides. And they have come to the UN to showcase what their country, is becoming or has become. A country going through a very rough patch shouldn't be found in that kind of an environment, behaving, in such a prodigal manner. So I think Nigerians should keep calling out such, such misuse of public funds, such insensitivity, such wickedness, such callousness. Just thought to give my perspective, on all of that. We know that Nigeria will succeed, and eventually Nigeria will win. Thank you very much.